What's going on, guys? It's your boy SONICSTA back at it again with another video. Now, per usual, before I get started here, I just want to remind you guys to like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Also, turn on the post notifications bell, that way you never miss a video. And lastly, your boy just got access to the join button, meaning you guys, if you want to see all sorts of exclusive SONICSTA content, you can become a member of my channel. There will be more information about that in the description down below. But with all that out of the way, let's just jump right into this video. Okay, so a little while ago, I had actually just gone through and completed the entirety of Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Of course, your boy is no kind of completionist, so I just kind of went through and just finished the main story. But out of all three of the games, I found Super Mario Sunshine to be the most interesting by far. Now, just to let you know, this was not the first time I had ever played Super Mario Sunshine. I used to play it when I was a lot younger as a kid, and I just never went through and finished it, but this was actually the first time I ever finished the game. So of course, after finishing it, now I believe was the proper time to voice my thoughts and opinions about this game. But the thing is, if you've been following my channel for a long time, you know that I've never actually done a full-scale game review before. I mean, yeah, I've obviously talked about video games before here, but I've never actually went in and discussed a video game review. So firstly, allow me to break down how I'm going to be reviewing Super Mario Sunshine. Now, I'm going to be talking about this game in three different parts: the good parts of the game, the bad parts of the game, and also just the flat-out ugly parts of this game. But without any further introduction, let's get started on my review of Super Mario Sunshine. First things first, let's talk about what good this game brings. Firstly, there is an actual story with this game. Most of the time, Mario games have Peach getting kidnapped by Bowser and so on and so forth. But in this game, even though Peach does get kidnapped by Bowser, it's not really the Bowser we would think of. This game introduces Bowser's son, Bowser Jr., who's actually disguised as Mario, so it's kind of interesting in that sort of dynamic. And of course, with new characters, you get all sorts of new themes going on here, like Bowser Jr. calling Peach Mama Peach, which leads to all sorts of speculation amongst the fanbase, believing that somehow Bowser Jr. is Peach's son. But anyway, going back to the story here, we see that Mario gets thrown in jail because he is falsely accused of something he never did: vandalism. One other thing I thought was really cool about the story is it's somehow kind of similar to the likes of Sonic Adventure 2. In both Sunshine and Adventure 2, we're introduced to a doppelganger that looks very similar to the main character. Also, like I just said, the main protagonist is framed and put in jail because of the doppelganger. But with that aside, another thing that this story really brings to the table is talking cutscenes. Whether you're a Mario fan or not, you know that Mario never talks in his cutscenes and there is no dialogue distributed amongst the characters. These talking cutscenes really do bring out the story, and it really makes me enjoy the game a lot more. Literally every single character in this game talks, with the exception of Mario. However, it is a little weird that the flood device on Mario's back talks more than Mario ever did in the entire game, but after a while you just look past it. But speaking of flood, however, this game does a really great job of bringing Mario out of his current environment, the Mushroom Kingdom. This game takes place on the entirety of the Isle Delfino, which is really interesting because it's just Mario in an island setting. And of course, taking place on a tropical island, you have to have some sort of tropical music to match, and this game excels with the music. Before making this video, I decided to listen to every single song from the Super Mario Sunshine soundtrack, and to be honest with you, I'm happy to say I did not waste my time. This soundtrack does a great job of putting you in the environment right there with Mario, because it just feels like it's just breathing life into every single stage you're on. In all honesty, it might be one of my favorite Mario soundtracks. But now that I've discussed the music, let's talk about the visuals of the game. Now, as I said before, this game's setting is on a tropical island, meaning we're going to be met with all sorts of warm colors and a different atmosphere than we're used to in regular Mario games. Now, as I said before, this game already does a great job of immersing you into that island setting, but even still, when you think about how it released in 2002, 6 years after Super Mario 64, it really makes you appreciate it even more. Basically what I'm saying is, this game came out in 2002, and in terms of quality, this is still passable as of 2021. And like I subtly mentioned before, there was no 3D Mario game in between Super Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. This game literally just jumped from pixely to this. In this game, we're also introduced to a whole new brand of species known as the Peanutas. Having been residents of this island and bearing a multitude of different colors, they just really bring this Isle Delfino much more alive. Not to mention, we also have the return of Yoshis, and unlike Super Mario 64, the last 3D Mario game, we can actually ride on them. Moving on here, I wanted to talk about some of the boss battles. Now, for the most part, Sunshine presents all sorts of different bosses that each on their own tend to be pretty memorable. One of my personal favorite bosses is Petey Piranha. Now, he's not necessarily a hard boss to beat, but either way, he's still so much fun. What I think I really love about these boss fights is that Mario is projected to be this really small guy, and he's always taking down this behemoth of a monster. Literally in the first boss of the game, you're fighting against this thing that's about 9 Marios tall, and you're stuck in a small room. What I think is really cool about this is that even Mario games after this one always feature Mario fighting a lot of bosses that are just completely bigger than he is. In a way, it kind of makes you think like the odds are stacked against you, but either way, Mario will still prevail. Another thing that I thought was really cool is that in Super Mario 64, Mario would always race this guy known as Koopa the Quick. That same aspect is carried on in Super Mario Sunshine, but instead of racing Koopa the Quick, you're racing this other guy known as Piantissimo. I really love these races because, to be honest with you, Mario is not all that fast in Super Mario Sunshine, so having Mario be able to do all sorts of flips and tricks to make sure you get to the goal line first is just really fun. The last thing I really wanted to drive home here is that in Super Mario Sunshine, you only need 50 stars to beat the game. However, there are a whopping 120 of them to actually 100% the game. In other words, there is a lot of post-game content. Granted, I don't really have any plans to go back and 100% the game, but even if I wanted to, it's nice to know that I can. But with all that said and done, let's get into the bad, what I believe personally is the negative side of Super Mario Sunshine. Now, unlike good, there's really not a whole lot here because I was being more specific, but even still, let's just get right on into it. First things first, while playing, I kind of noticed that Mario is both stiff and slippery at the same time. You might be asking yourself, how is this even possible? And to be honest with you, I don't know how it's possible, but it's just so awkward when you play as him. With Mario functioning this way, it just makes him feel helplessly slow. This wouldn't be so bad if there weren't so many narrow ledges, Piantissimo races, or even these things called secret courses, which I'll talk about later. But enough about Mario's movement, the next thing I want to talk about is the area known as Noki Bay. Now honestly, this group of stages is my least favorite for a multitude of reasons. Now this world has you surrounded by water, and for the first 4 of them, the water is poison, meaning you cannot touch it or else you lose health. But then on the 4th level, you are presented with a stream which allows you to actually go inside of the water and swim in there. That level requires you to get rid of all the poison that's in the sea, and in order to do that, you have to clean a giant eel's teeth. Now this wouldn't be as bad if you were actually on land, but Mario is in water and he's moving helplessly slow, and Flood does not make that any better. With Flood, you are required to use the hover and fly over this monster's teeth and squirt down water to make sure every tooth gets cleaned. But to make matters worse, just like every other human being, Mario cannot breathe underwater. But in order to regenerate health, Mario has to leave away from the giant eel to collect coins. However, to make matters worse, if you leave the eel for a bit, the eel will go back underground and then he'll regain health on his teeth. Overall, it's honestly just a tiring process that just really gets old fast. However, once you complete it, the water is clean and you're able to swim in it once again. But anyway, with that out of the way, I want to talk about the ugly side of Super Mario Sunshine. Now, unlike the bad, this section just drove me crazy in a good way. This section just made me realize where I went wrong in the first playthrough and how I can perfect it in the next. So first things first in the ugly section is the secret course stages. Now before I go on any further, let me tell you what you have to offer in these secret course stages. In these sections, you are presented with no checkpoint, no flood, and hardly any room for error. All you are presented with is slippery, stiff Mario. What made these levels so hard is because these were the actual stages where I felt like I really could have used Flood here. These stages definitely offered up a fun, irritating challenge, but even still, it made you want to push through to the end. Unless, of course, you were on your last life, then it's not fun at all. Whether you like these stages or not, you have to admit that the secret course music is still great. Probably the best thing that came out of these stages. Next up, I want to talk about Flood. Some of you diehard fans might know him as the Flash Liquidizer Ultra Dousing Device. Try saying that 5 times fast. But either way, right out the gate, in my opinion, Flood just kind of felt like a nuisance to control. His aiming is just all in all really weird, and so is his hovering because it's super slow, but all in all, you just have to get used to it. Which, of course, if you play the game for a while, you definitely will. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like Flood as a character, and I do think he was a great asset to the story, as well as just kind of being there for, a different dynamic for Mario's gameplay, but even still, I just think he was just very awkward. Now, of course, there's still a lot worth talking about here, like the boat in Corona Mountain that doesn't listen to you, the wind spirits, as well as the sandbird, but even still, the last thing I really wanted to drive home here is the Manta Storm. Now, the Manta Storm boss is a lot different than an actual boss because it actually requires much pain. On my first playthrough, I didn't think it was possible to be able to beat this boss because of how annoying it was and how it divided every time you hit it with water. But even still, after playing it multiple times over and over again, you finally get the hang of it. But even still, while playing, you have to understand where I'm coming from when I tell you that this boss is really infuriating. Essentially, this boss is capable of hitting you 3 times in one hit. The first time it coats you in a greenish ink. The second time it electrocutes you, and then the third time it completely immobilizes you when you're electrocuted. And if you're unfortunate enough, it has the capability of doing this to you over and over again, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. It can relentlessly bounce you back and forth from each ink spot to the next, and you can't even use Flood to get out of it. You just relentlessly go flying back and forth. This boss in particular was probably the most painful boss I had to go through in the entirety of Super Mario Sunshine. Not to mention, once you beat it enough, all the little mana storms will come right after you at the same time. There's really nowhere to run because everywhere you look, there's always just ink on the ground because as they move, they leave behind a little ink trail as well as electrocuting you once you touch it. With all that being said, hopefully you can tell how much pain this boss has actually brought me. But anyway, with all that aside, I wanted to deliver my final verdict on Super Mario Sunshine. In my opinion, Mario Sunshine was one of the most infuriating games I've ever played, yet it brought such a unique, fun challenge that made me want to consistently play over and over again. There were lots of parts about this game that I found to be really fun, but on the other hand, there were lots of parts about this game where I thought weren't that fun. But all in all, I honestly and truly do believe that this game really boils down to a trial and error type of game. In my opinion, I feel like Mario Sunshine was meant to be developed just so you would fail the first couple of times, or even just the first time. That way you'd have to re-experience it again and realize what you've done wrong so you can be better the next time. On the first playthrough, I really don't think it's meant to be a game where you're supposed to easily and quickly go through it. But if you were able to complete Super Mario Sunshine easily on the first playthrough, then I applaud you. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Super Mario Sunshine. I thought it was a very fun game, and I believe that everyone should give it a go. But what are your thoughts on Super Mario Sunshine? Do you like Super Mario Sunshine? Let me know in the comment section down below. And per usual, if you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps my channel out a ton. And once again, if you want an exclusive look on what's going to be happening next on my channel, then I suggest you check out the join button on my channel. Like I said before, there will be links in the description down below. But anyway, that's all your boy SONICSTA has got to say for this video. Have a blessed day, y'all. Be a blessing. I'm out.
Why are you playing that trash?